Hello everyone, welcome to MS-Safety webcast. In this video, we are going to see the steps on how to configure scope tags and role-based access control in Microsoft Intune. Role-based access control helps us to manage who has access to our organization's resources and what they can do with those resources. By assigning roles to our Intune users, we can limit what they can see and change. Each role has a set of permissions that determine what users with that role can access and change within our organization. To edit or assign roles, your account must have Global Administrator or Intune Service Administrator permissions in Azure Active Directory. First, we need to access and log in to the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. We can access Microsoft Endpoint Manager using the URL https://endpoint.microsoft.com. Intune has some predefined roles which we can assign to users or a group of users. These roles control what a user has access to and what rights he has on the corresponding object. For example, an Intune administrator is allowed to access all resources regarding Intune, but not allowed to access all aspects of Azure Active Directory. Let's see those built-in rules first. On Homepage, click on Tenant Administration. Click on Roles. At the time of this video recording, we have total 8 built-in rules in Intune. Each role has predefined permissions which we can assign to users or a group of users. We can create a custom Intune role that includes any permissions required for a specific job function. For example, if an IT department group manages applications, policies, and configuration profiles, we can add all those permissions together in one custom role. After creating a custom role, we can assign it to any users that need those permissions. We can easily copy an existing role that will be helpful for Intune admin to create a custom Intune role that includes any permissions required for a specific job function. In this example, let's create a custom Intune Help Desk Operator role by duplicating existing Help Desk Operator role. Once the custom Help Desk Operator role is created in Intune portal, we can deploy that to a group of admin users. Select Help Desk Operator role from all roles. Click on Duplicate. On the Basics page, enter a name and description for the new role. Here, I'm giving name Surat Help Desk Operator. Then choose Next. On the Permissions page, edit the permission as per your organizational requirement. Let me modify some of the existing permissions. Click on Android Photo. Set all the permissions to No. Click on Android for Work. Again, set all the permissions to No. Click on Cloud Attached Devices. Again, set all the permissions to No. Click on Device Configuration. Set all permissions to Yes. So this way, you can easily modify the permissions as per your requirement. In this example, I have modified some permissions which I want with custom Help Desk Operator role. Press Next to continue. By default, the default scope tag is added to all untagged objects that support scope tags. Every object in Intune needs to have at least one scope tag assigned. You can imagine a scope tag like a virtual Active Directory OU. To each Intune object you assign a scope tag, it would reside within that OU. At this moment, we are going with default scope tag. Later on, we will work with the scope tag. Click Next to continue. Review your configuration, and when you are done, choose Create. Click on Create. Wait for confirmation message. We can see the message, Surat Help Desk Operator successfully created. The new role is displayed in the list on the Intune All Roles blade. We can see a newly created role is here, Surat Help Desk Operator, and type is Custom Intune Role. In addition to roles, a key component in role-based access control is the application of scopes. A role only defines what a member of that role is allowed to do within Intune, but you may also want to limit the policies or devices that the user is allowed to see or change. We can do this by assigning scope tags and scope groups. By applying scope tags, you can specify which resources can be seen by a member. For example, if you only want to show the device profiles of the Surat office, you can add a tag to these profiles. By using scope groups, you can define which users or devices are allowed to be managed by a member. For example, if a member is only allowed to assign policies to a particular group, then you can assign this group as the scope group. By default, role members can see all Intune resources. As mentioned earlier, we can modify this by tagging resources. To do this, a tag must first be created and then added to the resources that are allowed to be seen by members. Under Manage, click on Scope Tags. Here we can read brief information about scope tags. Click on Create Plus icon to create a new scope tag. On the Basics page, provide a name and optional description. We will give a name Surat Office. You can also add description for this scope tag. Choose Next. On the Assignments page, choose the group or groups containing the devices that you want to assign the new scope tag. Click on Add Groups. We have created one device group for Surat Office with the name Surat Devices. This group contains all the devices from the Surat Office. Click on Surat Devices. Click on Select. We can confirm Surat Devices group is added successfully. Click Next. On the Review plus Create page, choose Create. Wait for confirmation message. We can see the confirmation message, scope tag is created and assigned successfully. Remember, auto scope tags assignments will override manually assigned scope tags. If a device is assigned multiple scope tags through group assignment, all scope tags will apply. To see that, click on Devices. Click on All Devices. Before we see the devices, let me show you the groups. Click on Groups. Click on Surat Devices. Under Manage, click on Members. Only Lab Win10-CLI02 Windows 10 device is member of this group. So Surat Office tag must be assigned to this device. Let's check that. Click on Devices. Click on All Devices. Here we have total 2 devices, Lab Win10-CLI01 and Lab Win10-CLI02. click on Lab Win10-CLI02. As we know that Lab Win10-CLI02 is member of Surat device group. Under Manage, click on Properties. We can see one scope tag is selected. To see the name of that scope tag, click on Open. We can confirm that the Surat Office scope tag is automatically assigned to this device. Let's check the same for our other device. Click on All Devices. Click on Lab Win10-CLI01. Under Manage, click on Properties. Click on Open. We can see the default tag is assigned to this device. In the next step, we are going to assign the new Surat Help Desk Operator role. I have already created a security group, Surat Help Desk, containing all support employees for the Surat office. These employees will only be able to manage devices and resources with the Surat office tag. Click on Groups. Click on Surat Help Desk Group. Under Manage, click on Members. We have added TestUser1 as a member to the Surat Help Desk group. Click on Tenant Administration. Click on Roles. We can use the same role for multiple assignments with different tags and admin members. Click on Surat Help Desk Operator role. Under Manage, click on Assignments. Click on Assign plus icon. On the Basics page, enter an assignment name and optional assignment description. I'm giving name Surat Help Desk Assignment. Choose Next. Select the admin groups. These are the groups containing the administrators you want to assign the role to. Click on Add Groups. We will select our Surat Help Desk group. Click on Select and click on Next. We need to select the scope groups for the role assignment. We can also select all devices or all users if you don't want to use scope groups. The scope groups are the groups which can be managed by the members of the admin group, which we have selected in the previous step. Click on Add Groups. I have created two groups for our Surat office. All the users from the Surat office are added to the Surat users group, and all the devices from the Surat office are added to the Surat devices group. So we will select both Surat users and Surat devices group. Click on Select. Make sure you have added right groups as per your scenario. In my case, I have selected Surat devices and Surat users group. Click Next to continue. Now we need to add the scope tag of the resources that should be allowed to be seen by the admin group. Earlier, we have created the Surat Office scope tag. We will use that scope tag here. Click on Select Scope Tags. Select Surat Office. Click on Select. Click Next to continue. On the Review plus Create page, when you are done, choose Create. Click on Create and wait for confirmation message. The new assignment is now displayed in the list of assignments. In our case, we have Surat Help Desk assignment. Already, we have assigned the scope tag to our devices. But in the next step, we will assign the scope tags to one of our existing resources. Because I have created a scope tag for the Surat office, I will associate the tag to the resources associated to the Surat office. Click on Devices. Under Policy, click on Configuration Profiles. We have total 4 device configuration profiles in our test environment. For this video, we only want to associate one device configuration profile to Surat Office. Already, I have created one configuration profile for our Surat Office, which is Surat Desktop Configuration Profile. Edit the device configuration profile and add the scope tag. Click on Surat Desktop Configuration Profile. Scroll down, click on Edit Scope Tags. As you can see, default scope tag is already selected. Click on Select Scope Tags. Here we will select Surat Office Scope Tag. Click on Select. Keep in mind, we are also keeping default scope tag. Click on Review plus Save. Click on Save. Policy Surat Desktop Configuration Profile edited successfully. At this point, we have successfully configured role-based access control with scope tags in our test environment. Now, it's time to test the result of this configuration. Now let's see what happens when we try to log in with a member of the Surat Help Desk group. For this test, we will use the user TestUser1 who is a member of the security group Surat Help Desk. Keep in mind that it takes about 5 minutes for the role assignment to be processed. Let me show the groups first. Click on Groups. Click on Surat Help Desk. Under Manage, click on Members. We have only one user, which is TestUser1. So we will use the credential of our test user to sign into Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Let's open a new in private window. Type the URL https://endpoint.microsoft.com and press Enter key to access Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Type the username user1@msfsuratv2.onmicrosoft.com. Click Next. Enter the user password and click on Sign In. On dashboard, there should be one error about connector status because we haven't given the Android related permission, and that's why we have error about connector. First, click on Devices. Click on All Devices. You can see that TestUser1 can only seize the one device which is member of the security group Surat Devices. If we check the same for administrator, we can see 2 devices. Let me click on Devices, All Devices. Here we are accessing using the administrator's account. We have 2 devices, but if we check with user1, then we have only one device. Now let's have a look at the compliance policies. Under Policy, click on Compliance Policies. No compliance policies are tagged. TestUser1 does not see any of the configured compliance policies. Now let's take a look at the configuration profiles. Let me click on Devices. Under Policy, click on Configuration Profiles. TestUser1 can only see the one profile which we have been tagged with Surat Office Scope Tag. The Intune administrator sees all configured configuration profiles. Let me show you that. Click on Configuration Profiles. Here admin can see 4 configuration profiles and TestUser1 can see only one configuration profile which we have tagged with Surat Office Scope Tag. Now let's test the scope groups and see what happens when TestUser1 tries to assign a configuration profile to a group that is not configured as a scope group. Click on Surat Desktop Configuration Profile. Click on Edit Assignments. click on Add Groups. And from the list, select Test Win Client Group. Click on Select. Click on Review plus Save. And click on Save. Here we can see the error message. An error occurred. Test user 1 can select the group, but as soon as he tries to save the changes, he gets an error message. Remember, we haven't added Test Win Client Group as a scope groups. Now, what happens when he tries the same thing with a scope group? Let's check that. Let me close this. Again, click on Edit Assignments. Click on Add Groups. And this time, select our Surat Devices group. Click on Select. Click on Review plus Save. Click on Save. We can see the confirmation message, assignments saved successfully. So when Test User 1 select the group with a scope group, it goes well. User can save the changes. But if the group is not a part of scope group, then user is not able to save the changes. So this is how we can implement role-based access control with scope tags in Microsoft Intune. That concludes the video on how to configure scope tags and role-based access control in Microsoft Intune. Thank you all for watching this video. Have a nice day.